Alrighty, good afternoon, folks, and welcome to Smudcast number 495. Ghibli movies are overrated. Okay, I welcome all criticisms on the classics or studios that are said to be the standard for whatever medium or genre that they're good at, and that's good. I like to hear criticisms about all sorts of things. Hopefully, we'll get nitty and gritty. It won't just be like, oh, I don't like Ghibli because they do this. It's like, no. Just give me good reasons why this movie's bad or this movie's bad. That's a good idea. I think we need more people like that. And we've got these crazy popular YouTubers who talk about anime all the time. So I'm kind of surprised these guys got together. I thought one of them lived in the Philippines, but apparently they all live in the States. I don't know. Maybe this was...
No, they all live in Japan.
They all live in Japan. Really? Wow. Interesting stuff. Okay, so they all managed to get together. Alrighty, let's take a look at this video. This came out 2 years ago in October. Has about 400,000 views. And, they got a 15,000 upvotes to 5.1 thousand downvotes. So obviously, we've got some criticism on the video itself, which is unexpected. I thought these guys are very well liked. They got millions of subs on their channels. So, the anime critics aren't doing a very good job, it looks like. Interesting.
Just to be fair, even if they were being honest with their criticisms, which I'm not saying they aren't because we haven't seen the video yet, there would be a lot of people who are just going to dislike this alone.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, because people, once they have like a favorite movie from a certain studio, they think, oh, that studio must be awesome. And if they're just bashing it for the sake of bashing it, they're like, oh, I don't like these guys at all. So,
just look when you say Mass Effect 2 is bad.
Yeah, I mean, people. It's the same way. If you say it's good without giving a reason, that's the same reaction I would have. Like, you're not explaining why something is good or bad, and it's a lot harder to explain why something is good. So, to say something's overrated, that's easy. I can do that with anything. I can talk about my favorite thing in the world and say why it's overrated, and talk about all the problems with it. So that's easy. When something is good, that's where it's hard. That's where it's more difficult. I think I might have got those two confused. If something is good, you really have to know why. What is quality? And you have a breadth of experience to explain why the apple that you're eating right now is better than the apple you had, 5 years ago or whatever. And you have this large experience of apple tasting, let's say. So that's where I hope these guys can come out, because that's what they're good at. And they're going to have very specific examples or studio practices or scenes in a movie that they go, this is no good. So I don't know. They could be great. They could be horrible. We don't know. We haven't seen the video yet. So let us see. This video is, how long is it? It is not even 10 minutes. Oh, this is a highlight of their talk. So obviously they just took the main points. So not even 10 minutes. Good stuff. Okay, there we go.
That's my second hot take, I guess. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but I think I've said it in other places. But I fucking hate Ghibli movies, man.
I only liked like 3.
Okay, wait a second. There's a difference between saying the studio's content is overrated and to actively hate something. Okay.
But then still like 3?
That's
if
not...
you actually hate
So he hates them, but he still likes 3?
No. Just one guy's hated. The other guys like 3 movies from the Ghibli studios.
Okay, I just dropped in here. So the studio's full of anime stuff, and these people don't like Ghibli?
I don't know.
I find with this.
Weird. I find that weird.
Well, okay.
Ghibli is the well-animated, wholesome stuff for kids.
It depends. Some of them are good. Some of them are okay. But I don't think anything's bad. I don't see anything as a bad animation. And I don't think in terms of Japanese anime, like what it is today. I'm thinking in terms of what it was when Spirited Away came out, or Porco Rosso came out, or Nausicaa, like all those classics. Like, yeah, those were good for their time. I'm not comparing apples to brand new shiny apples. I'm comparing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bitch about anyone not loving Porco Rosso, because that is mostly a slice of life movie in its own way, and that is not everyone's
Right.
stake.
And I just want to bring up, he's all he wants. Personally, hating a movie that's really well right and it being overrated are two different things.
Yeah.
Okay, you're breaking up a bit there, so it was hard to hear you. Should we try another region? You guys want to try like?
We are going to Hong Kong or to Singapore?
Singapore.
Okay, Singapore. Here we go. And we're back. Let's try that again.
Hello. Now, hey. Personally hating a movie that's really well right and a movie that's really well. Personally hating a movie that's really well right is completely different from that movie being overrated.
Okay, that's your microphone, and it's either wobbling around, or you are moving around the microphone, or there is some weird auto-correction software going on that tries to down and up regulate you.
I don't know. I'm on my computer for the first time on this.
See if your mic's volume is down.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. It sounds like it's breaking apart here and there and being modulated.
But I get it what he said. He said that hating a movie is already too far from saying the movies are overrated.
Yeah, so we have to go.
You're actually.
What was it?
Hey, it's kind of it's better now.
All right. Whoa, what happened? Let's try that again.
How about no?
I'm just going to turn down the volume for Nicolaicon. Hopefully that will make it less loud. All right. Anyway, let's get on with the video.
I think I like one or two, and even like...
Which ones?
Princess Mononoke and Nazca.
Do you like Howl's Moving Castle?
No.
I really like Howl's Moving Castle.
I really liked Howl's Moving Castle.
And the reason I don't like Ghibli is just because I don't like Disney. And I don't know.
Okay, wait a second. Wait.
That doesn't make sense, because that's usually you have the two camps of Disney awesome and Ghibli awesome, and maybe one of the side doesn't like the other, but not the I don't like the other side because I don't like this. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, this doesn't make why.
Okay, don't watch the dubs of Ghibli movies because they're cut up and there are scenes missing because Disney deemed them too violent or some crap, and that destroys the complete context of the movies. Well, so don't watch the English versions.
That's part of it, but he made the argument that I don't like Superman because I don't like Batman sort of argument. It's like, what are you talking about? That's silly. Tell me.
No, it would be I don't like Superman because I don't like Iron Man or something like that.
I don't know. This is a
different companies.
Like he said, he liked Princess Mononoke. I like Princess Mononoke. It's not a great film, but it's a good film. I liked it. It was fun to watch. I think the title is misnamed. It should be called The Curse of the Boar King or something like that, because it's not really about the young girl. She's part of it, but she's not the main section. Howl's Moving Castle, we know that he transformed that story from what it was originally. He added the war element and planes and all that crazy animation. So there's lots of stuff that you can appreciate that was not in the original book, but that's the beauty of doing an adaptation. So you're allowed to do creative stuff, especially in Japanese animation. So we need examples. Why? You can't just say, oh, this is too like Disney and I hate Disney. All you're saying is this is my preference for a thing I dislike, which is dumb. It's like, I love smoked meat, but I hate mustard. So because they serve me mustard, it's bad. It's like, what? What are you talking about? It's bizarre.
I don't like vanilla because I don't like chocolate.
Yeah, it's a dumb argument. I don't understand that.
It is me saying I don't like Persona 4 because I don't like The Witcher.
What? Yeah, what the hell does that mean?
Like it's not even apples to oranges. Whatever he found on the store.
Yeah, well, Okay, it's a stupid argument, but let's see where these guys go.
Because, like, when I see a Ghibli movie, I'm like, this isn't anime. Like, like this.
Wait a second. How is Ghibli?
Why is not
How is it not anime? It's high quality anime. Let's animate every scene
What?
of this film.
What did he
Okay.
say? It's low
Defend-
animated.
No, he says it's
No,
not.
He said it's
an
not
anime.
anime.
That's like saying a Porsche is
What?
not a car.
I need to
Okay,
hear this
defend-
again. I'm sorry, I need to hear this again.
Go back. Go
right.
back.
Because Ghibli, like, when I see a Ghibli movie, I'm like, this isn't anime. Like, like this isn't anime. This is a fucking Disney movie.
Can we also talk
What?
about how Hayao Miyazaki?
All right, so
It's just, oh god,
When we-
because it's its own, its very own style. This guy's
yeah,
retarded. It's just Ghibli has retained its style from its very first movies.
sure.
It's kept its character style, and it has recurring characters like ensemble casts that like Tarantino uses the same actors in every movie, or this his favorite actors that he started out with, and whom we all know for the most part. For they all went into their big directions of their own. But for a Tarantino movie, they tend to come together again. With Ghibli movies, it is that these are animated versions of those characters, like the old grandmother type. Looks the same. The old grandmother looks the same in every movie, but it's not the same person. It's as if it's enough. It's as if it's an actor. Like you have the witch in Sento Chihiro. You have the main character becoming the witch grandma in Howl's Moving Castle. You have the pirate chief, which is that character, which is the granny, and these are recurring elements.
Yeah, this is
And
not.
throughout the decades to this day.
Yeah, this is
And
not.
that's
I wonder-
the in part the children that watch these movies. It's easier for them to relate to what is this character.
Yeah, I would not say.
Oh, it's the
wonder
wise
what
old
it-
woman.
Sure. When I think of Disney, I don't think of the fairy tale world of Ghibli and say, oh, these are very similar studios. I say, no, these are very different cultures. And it's just one studio has a lot of support and backing to do quality work, and they'll come out with the Spirited Away, which is very, very Japanese. And you look at like Pocahontas or Sleeping Beauty or all these other Disney-esque films that also came from folklore, but from Europe or what have you. They're more like hero romance stories, fantasies, whereas these are very different settings, very different cultures.
Yeah, but I don't know yet why exactly he thinks they're Disney movies. They're not anime for some reason. My only guess could be the animation style. That's the only thing I could think of,
I
because
think-
anime in regards to genre does absolutely everything.
Yeah, I think to him though, because
It can't be genre.
he watches anime every season for the past 15 years or whatever. So to him, anime is what's on TV, what's popular, what's shonen, what is.
That's what I was going to say. What is his definition of anime? It's shonen anime, where there's a lot of battles, fan servers, or is something like I don't know.
Man, if
My
you only
definition
watch
of
the present day stuff, even of the past 15 years, if you only know that and nothing before, then you don't know anything, and you have missed so much good stuff.
I think
And if you knew more of the old stuff, you could place Ghibli much better, because it, as I said, it retains this old charm.
I think the common sense definition is an animation that comes from Japan. That's
Yes.
what animes is for everyone.
I'm like trying to.
If for him is
I'm also
Hello?
Dude, use push to talk.
Yeah, we cannot hear you.
I'm also trying to understand what Gigik is saying. And I'm thinking maybe it's because Studio Ghibli movies are usually more fairy tale-esque. And that's what he's confusing with being Disney-esque.
There's anime that does fairy tales.
Yeah. This is to me.
I know.
If it is,
Let me,
honestly, that's kind of close to what I think we might think of the Studio Ghibli. If it is just that, then I don't know what other enemies he's talking.
yeah, no, this
Because
is
there is a lot of anime.
Because he's thinking too much of anime being the typical anime formula of super powerful protagonists is the best in their field, and they go around and fight other people to prove that they're the best.
Yeah, but that's if it's just
Maybe
if all he knows is shonen, then he's worthless. The thing is, is this just so? First off, I hope he will tell us why he thinks that when we continue the video. Secondly, is this just a dumb video where they came up with the title beforehand, do not actually hold these opinions because they cannot even give substantive arguments about them, but just wobble around and have smug grins on their faces as they try to fill out this video title somehow.
I wouldn't even go so far as say like it's a matter of preference. Like he just prefers the shonen stuff or the common stuff. I don't even think it's that. This is like a guy who's just been drinking like pilsners and pale ales all his life, and then someone comes along with like a IPA or a stout, and he's like, "Whoa, what the hell is that?" Like, ugh, I don't even like.
That's not beer.
That's not beer. How could you drink that? It's like, dude, there's a world of beers outside of the weakest shit you could find out there. Okay, just because you don't know it and understand it doesn't mean it's not beer. So it's strange.
Give me something with taste.
Give me something with drama. Give me something with character. Yeah, aside from a superhero jumping around and whatever.
And if you're so inclined, with great animation as well. Great animation, great backgrounds. Watch Lupin, the 5th season. Watch it. Watch the 5th season of Lupin the 3rd.
That was
that is a wonderful mix of the old charm and modern day quality.
Yeah, the original was made in like the 70s, I think. And
the first season is almost unwatchable in regards to quality.
Right. Yeah.
But today. But when I watched the first season of Lupin like 10 years ago, in binge watched it, I was blown away, not by the animation quality because that was ass, but every episode was every plot of every James Bond and Mission Impossible episode or movie that would ever be made before it was made. Yeah. Lupin did it all, had done it all already.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's why we talk about Golgo 13 being the next step of Bond, whereas Lupin was like, nah, we did that back in the 80s.
Lupin already did everything before Bond and Mission Impossible did it, and Ocean's 11 and all that other nonsense. They already did it. Seriously, watch Lupin. And if you can't stand the first season because it's animated, it's very basic. But the plots are great. The action is great for that. The ideas they had, you have to think like in that time what people thought action was, and then go on with that. There's even superhero, supervillain nonsense episodes, which are not worse than what DC and Marvel came up with. And there are 5 big seasons of that, and the most modern one, season 5, is just absolutely beautiful. Plays with the agelessness of the characters, because, well, we're in 2020, we're in the 2020s now. Lupin started in the, 60s, 70s. Technically, these characters are all 50 years older, but of course they're not. But we have now the modern day technology, and it does plays on that, and it plays on the anachronism, and is there an adjective for that? Of some of the characters like Goemon, who having Goemon be the traditional old school classic ninja with his all cutting sword wasn't that out of time in the 60s, 70s, but it's very out of time in 2020. And the fun with that, with him having a smartphone, it's nice touches here and there. It's great. And how does Lupin the thief that always escapes, that always disguises himself. How does he escape in a time where everyone has a smartphone, everyone has a camera? How does it even work? And that is the nice thing they play with, and of course some of the deeper character traits, inter-character stories with each other that are always subtle in the background and are always just this tiny little bit fleshed out. And that also happens and is brought to a maybe conclusion, maybe not. I don't want to spoil that because it is just this old classic stuff in modern day light done right, and that is something that is almost impossible. Every time people try to do that, they just screw it up, especially all these avant-garde leftists making a new theater piece, a reinterpretation of something, where they do Shakespeare in the modern day or some crap, and it's just utter garbage. With Lupin, because they keep true to the core of everything, it works. It's beautiful. This is how you do a modern piece of something old. And yeah, sorry for the tangents. Just blew me away how well they did that. Watch Lupin, watch the series, and you will see the improvements throughout the seasons. And it is one of those, Lupin the Third is one of those anime series, manga series that is one of the biggest ever. With countless adaptations in live action, in novels, it is one of the biggest franchises in Japan. Everybody knows Lupin the Third, and the movies to Lupin, they are absolutely gorgeous. The scenery, the backgrounds, the lighting. I love how the anime studios, especially of the olden days, managed to draw light. It reminds me like of especially this was this one scene at the cathedral where the evening sun shone off, and call me exaggerating, but it did remind me, just from the sheen of it all, the atmosphere of it all. It reminded me of a work from the old masters.
I think
it is.
There's one thing Lupin did I really liked was the 3D movie. If you want to see really good 3D.
Yeah, that thing was done well.
That was really done well.
Yeah. And also nice Lupin plot, like nice character twists, nice story twists, all done well, done well, humor put well, and this brings us back to the actual topic at hand. There was one Lupin movie made by Studio Ghibli. Wasn't one of their best movies, but I found it entertaining enough. That was Castle of Cagliostro.
That was
going
fun.
on this tangent. Funny how the Japanese like the French.
It even has a villain Lupin scene or scene of, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die."
Yeah.
Pushes button, trapdoor opens, Lupin falls down, but he falls down like a boss, like a Chad. He does not move. He just falls the way he's standing, with his grin, with his hands in his pockets, and it's just the perspective change of how he's falling. Like you see him from frame by frame. Transformed as he goes through the perspective change, but he himself is not moving. It's beautiful, subtle joke that also transfers the character, because he is so sure of himself that he knows, I'm gonna win because I already know what's gonna happen because I planned it out.
Smart, I know the Japanese like the French because in every Ultraman series, the main HQ is in Paris.
Really?
Like all the problems is in Japan, all the monsters attack in Japan, but the main HQ is in Paris.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't paid attention to those kinds of stories, but that is interesting. Okay. All right. So we're only 40 seconds in. These guys are bashing the crap out of Studio Ghibli Without good,
They don't know what they're talking about.
without good reasoning. Yeah, I don't like this so far.
He's a fucking asshole. Like,
Oh yeah, he's an absolute cunt.
did you see the clip of like him going to his son's premiere?
Oh, you got recommended that clip as well.
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
So
god.
to this clip, right? You can search for it, but he goes to his son's premiere.
Yeah.
Who's making a movie, right? He's
Yeah.
a director, and he fucking walks out of the premiere halfway through, being like, "He's not an adult yet," and I'm like, "Oh, he's fucking one of those dads." Who's like, he's not an adult yet at like 30 because I haven't deemed him worthy. It's like, shut the fuck up.
All right, you know what? If you are anime royalty, and you care about quality, and he doesn't care if his son made shit. To him, it's shit. That's fine. You're allowed to say things about the industry you helped shape. Okay, what was that? Scorsese. What did he say? Like Marvel films aren't movies or whatever. They're not cinema. It's like, yeah, he has the right to say that because he knows what the hell he's talking about. That's fair.
Yeah, because he worked with his son on all this. He taught him the ropes, everything, and then he makes this really not so great piece, and it's like, did you even listen to me?
Yeah, he probably has thousands of ideas and thousands of ways to execute them in a way that is so high quality. So when he sees something that doesn't impress him, he's like, "Oh, I could do better." He knows he can do. Everyone knows he can do better. So,
I mean, not to mention, someone like Miyazaki's gonna be kind of abrasive. Like, it takes being abrasive to mail a katana over to another studio that in a different country that's localizing your work and say, "No cut."
oh really? Oh dear.
Yeah, that is awesome.
You get like
Send a katana to the no cut.
yeah, this is like getting Gordon Ramsay, and he teaches his son everything he knows, and then he makes this dinner, and and Gordon tastes it, and he goes like, "Oh," like he'd be very disappointed if he taught his son everything he knew, and his son makes crap, or at least something not that he was expecting. I don't see a problem with a guy who devoted like decades of his life to a medium, and doesn't get at least something which inspires him or makes him feel something. So I think he gets a pass just because he's Miyazaki, and that's fine. If it was like Hideki Anno saying that, I'd be like, all right, this guy, Hideki Anno's a bit weird. I don't really care about what he says anyway. So,
Have you watched his movie by now?
which one?
Earth Sea.
Ritual.
No,
No, I haven't seen that.
You have to watch that. It tells you everything you ever need to know about Hideaki Anno.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, do I really want to know what I already know?
Yes. No. It's because it's all his favorite tropes, visual tropes that he uses in all of his works. It's in that, but on overdrive.
Oh.
Like half the movie is train tracks.
What? It's about train tracks?
No, it's just there's a lot of train tracks because he loves this image of train tracks and crossing train tracks and that.
Oh.
But does it add something to the plot?
Yeah,
just
in a
there
way, because
because
it's
you like this.
because the train tracks are of course also a metaphor for movement, for transitioning over to another side and all of that, and that is woven in. But it's just he loves this image so much that this movie is so full of it. It's wow.
Okay.
But watch it, give it a watch. It is just I think it's written in a weird way. But just look up Hideaki Anno's IMDb or Wikipedia site and you get the title of his movie.
All right. Okay. Anyway, let's bash Miyazaki more, I guess.
Yeah, he goes a cigarette and he's just like, yeah, this movie's trash. He could have done better. He hasn't grown up enough.
Yeah, and it's like, are you fucking kidding
As
me?
if Miyazaki hasn't made shit movies himself, right? Like not every I love Ghibli, don't get me wrong.
Oh, this
but
is a
have
bullshit
I enjoyed
argument, and you
every
know
single
it.
Ghibli movie? Absolutely not.
I just hate the kind.
Dude, this is a shit argument that just because you have done something that is not perfection, you're not allowed to criticize someone else's work, especially your sons, who definitely need some corrections. Like, what is this? Because this you the way you have to look at this is especially with this Japanese culture, which this is the part I like about it a lot, is imagine Studio Ghibli instead with this family relationship is like a martial arts dojo. And Hayao Miyazaki is the old master. He's the grandmaster of the dojo. And there's his son, his prodigy, who one day is supposed to take over the dojo. And like Hayao is already very old, and he still has to correct his son on basic posture for kata, for different techniques, on how to punch, how to make basic kicks, and maybe even how to fall and roll. Yeah,
According to
I'd be pissed.
To be clue in the chat is because Miyazaki could see the flaws that would make the critics blame his son, and that's what bothered him most. Not only because the son made something really flawed, because his son getting a lot of flack would bother him.
Either way, he knows what he's talking about, and his standards are a little higher than the average studio executive or animation guy from another studio. So I don't mind it when the master has a problem with someone's piece of work. I don't expect his standards to drop anytime soon. He's like, oh yeah, Sailor Moon is great. Yeah, it's totally fine. No, I want him to criticize everything. He's the guy who knows better. So anyway, this is not an argument. This has nothing to do with Studio Ghibli. I don't know why he's bad to his son. It's like, I don't care. I really don't care. It's nothing to do with Studio Ghibli being good or bad.
Of director who is like, everyone else is unimportant and my ideas are the best, and he gives off that vibe, and as much as cultural icon for many parts, and you don't want to be just an asshole you don't want to shit talk anyone for no reason.
Yeah, because like
every single time you see him in an interview or do anything, he just seems kind of like a cunt to be around. Like, you would hate to be around him.
You can tell like he's such a close-minded dude, because apparently the only movie that Hayao Miyazaki has made that he himself cried to was The Wind Rises. Yeah. And I can tell you that is the most mid Ghibli movie I've ever watched.
Is it? I heard good things about it.
It's good, but compared to other Ghibli movies, it is mid.
May I draw attention to the fact that this guy wears a shirt with the word Evangelion printed on it?
No kidding. Holy crap. Jesus, man.
I would not give much of value to this man's opinion.
I think Miyazaki cried with that movie because it is something that he likes playing, and because it have the theme of World War II and something like that. It is something really close to him.
Yeah, well, that's...
Also, they're shitting about his personal feelings and history?
Yeah, I mean, if he has preferences towards, like, planes and war... we know he's an activist. We know he's very sensitive about these topics. So he'd probably cry about those issues. That's fair. That's normal.
I don't think it is because the movie is good. I think because it is something that he really
exactly. See, this is the problem. This is the problem with these guys. They're talking from their own subjective experience, saying, "Well, I didn't really like it, therefore it's bad, or therefore it's overrated, or whatever." And they just bashed Miyazaki because he was mean to his son or whatever. And you're like,
no. The title is misleading because the guy, all right, in the beginning, the first second say, I hate Ghibli movies because I hate Disney.
Right. And the other one,
that's already a non sequitur.
And the other guy is just bashing Miyazaki because he's a dick, and like that's not like if Neil Gaiman was a dick, I wouldn't care. He's just a really nice guy. He's just a really friendly fellow. He happens to write really good stories. If he was like an Alan Moore guy, I don't care. Like, I wouldn't bother me. I don't care what Alan Moore says outside of when he makes a piece of work, and most people don't either. But when you listen to Alan Moore, he's like, holy shit, this guy's weird. So
look for Grant Morrison.
No.
What really bothers me that bringing this up is that they're bringing up that Hayao Miyazaki ain't that great a guy, but I know these guys like Kenshin. And we all know about Kenshin's author. Doing way worse shit. He had CP.
Yeah, I don't, dude. That is this is actual whataboutism, because that is absolutely irrelevant to the work made.
Also, they are not even.
And to whether he's an old man, he's a bit cynical, he's not glad about his. He doesn't want to give his son a participation trophy.
Right.
I would not compare that to anything, especially not that.
Yeah, when they argue that Miyazaki is a bad director or writer or producer, they should have said in Howl's Moving Castle, for example, the theme of war was not present in the original book, and he added all this war elements. He added the flight scenes, all these crazy animation shots of the bombers. It's like, yeah, that's a good point, because that wasn't in the original book, so why did he do that? That's silly. You're wasting my time, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's an argument. You can't just say Miyazaki sucks because he made this amazing animation of planes, because he likes planes for whatever reason. It's like, what
because the animations themselves are amazing.
And you can't say Miyazaki sucks because in his personal life he's a bit shit. That doesn't matter to his work.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is a podcast clip, and I think the guy who made the clip didn't check to make a accurate title to what they are saying, because nothing that they are saying right now reflects on the quality of the media. Like, you can have good arguments to say why some Ghibli movies are overrated. Right now, it's just shit talking on the studio and Miyazaki.
Yeah, but okay, we're at only. They still have 80% of making a point. 80% of time to make a point.
All right.
Ghibli movies then.
Princess Mononoke is easily my favorite. I mean, obviously I grew up watching like Nausicaa and
Howl's
Totoro
my
and stuff
favorite.
like that. Howl's Moving Castle was really
my
good.
favorite.
I thought Ponyo was okay.
Ponyo was boring as fuck.
I think
man.
Ponyo is very much the Ghibli of the new generation. Sorry, the Totoro of the new generation.
Totoro.
Ponyo was made together with Disney, as far as I'm aware.
It was.
So that may have had its influences there anyway. But what these people don't get is Ghibli movies are slice of life movies, animated slice of life movies for children. They're like, we had in Germany, we had a genre called Heimatfilm, the homeland movie. It's nothing to do with the Nazis. It's just these movies about the olden days, like living on a farm for old people who lived on a farm when they were young. And it's just this nice, happy world. There's no big conflict. It's just slice of life in olden days Germany, out in the countryside. And Ghibli movies or slice of life in general, is kind of that. And yes, if you only want your shonen battles where for 20 minutes the both battlers go, "Arr! Arr! Arr!" Yeah, then this is kind of boring, yes.
Yeah, Ponyo was based off The Little Mermaid. It's like a Japanese fantasy take on a slice of life of The Little Mermaid. So it's not for everyone. It's mostly for kids anyway. And once you wrap your
Better than Ariel.
Well, once you wrap your brain around the genre and where it's set, it's like, okay, this is for kids. And then you say, okay, I can evaluate.
My brother actually, when he was younger, like 9 years old, he liked Ponyo. He watched it every day, and watched it quite often actually. Like sometime when he got out of Netflix, he was sad for a few days and got back to play video games.
It's one of these, like, Studio Ghibli is known for making stuff for kids the same way Disney is known for making stuff for kids, but outside of that, it's completely different. So I don't know why they're bashing it for the sake of, they're like Disney. I hate Disney. It's like, what? Okay, it's fine. Strange take, but all right. Anyway, we have 2 super chats that just came in. Thank you, sirs. Minimundus for the £5. It's funny, course. Miyazaki is a big history nerd. He made a manga version of Tiger and Shalom, the Otto Curious story.
Oh, wow.
and it's awesome. And hi, Wispy.
Hello, Minimundus. There's an M missing. Tiger im Schlamm is about a tiger tank, not a tiger, the animal. And Schlamm is the mud. So it's a tiger tank stuck in the mud.
Cool.
It's a war story.
Yeah, no. Miyazaki likes his war stories. He is anti-war. He's big into talking about that stuff and being an advocate.
Yeah, and a good way to make anti-war stories is to just tell stories that happened in the war.
Right.
Like we had in 11th grade, and that's not done in East Germany. It was only done in West Germany when I was a year in West Germany. We had a time witness who fought in Stalingrad as in a tank crew, and how his tank got shot, and they repaired it midfield in the city. And and somehow he got back out. Yeah, it's you don't. Yeah, and this if you have still always ask your grandparents about their life stories and write them down, record them. They will have something amazing to tell, even if it's just one little bit. But they will have something to tell, and you will only. It would be a real shame if you only realize that when they're gone, because that is the final lesson that our grandparents teach us. That eventually the people in our lives leave us forever.
All right. Here's JJJ Madness. Thanks. Say what you will about Miyazaki. He is undoubtedly a complete cynic, but he knows how to make great art and has experience to back it up. And that's what's great. He has proven himself over the decades of his craft, and he's one of the fathers of anime. So if he says something is bad, sure, you still have to ask him why, but he might have a good insight into why modern pop anime is crap and why what he tries to do is not. And that goes with everything art related. If you want to make something great, that takes effort, that takes time, it takes money, it takes more than one person. And this is a guy who was the writer director of everything he made. I think most of it, if not all of it. So he's very big on controlling everything he does.
By the way, that movie that he walked out, I'm pretty sure is Tales from Earthsea. That was like basically the equivalent of a raspberry for being the worst movie made that year.
Oh, really?
And also director. So it wasn't like a movie that most people thought was good.
Yeah. And this is Japan. This is where the mecca of all things anime related originate. They better darn well have a high standard for anything animated. So if the guy who helped make anime what it is today says something isn't good, yeah, you might want to listen. Just maybe. It's like an Italian evaluating pasta. It's like he might have a good insight into, even if he doesn't eat pasta anymore, he might understand how pasta is made and why it's good and bad. All right. So My Neighbor Totoro, an excellent series for kids.
Oh my I fell asleep during Totoro, man. I'm like, why am I watching a kids show now?
Okay, to be fair,
why do you expect me to be entertained?
Yes, Totoro is a kids movie. That's why I don't recommend it to people. It's a kids movie.
Yeah, but so is.
Okay, little reminder, Mr. Surrounded by plushies, by Pokemon plushies. Ghibli movies are kids movies. There's not a Ghibli movie that I can think of off the bat that is not a kids movie.
Is this
maybe different age brackets, but they're all kids movies.
Is this a genre argument? They just don't like certain films because Ghibli makes certain films for kids?
I think it's coming down to that.
Is that all this is? Like, oh, I don't like...
No, I don't think it is a genre argument because he's going to bring Toy Story and he will probably say that he can recommend Toy Story.
Oh.
Probably just because they don't like the studio that much.
Okay. I don't know what's going on then.
Watch Toy Story.
Toy Story, though, Pixar has done a thing where they've managed to intermingle like very adult humor.
But that's
into it.
good. Kids like media is
Right.
great when it can be enjoyed by
But
everyone.
Japanese media.
You fucking idiot. Ghibli movies are enjoyed by all age ranges. And parents can enjoy these movies with their kids. And grandparents can enjoy these movies with their kids. That's the amazing thing about these movies.
Also, there's plenty of good TV shows that I wouldn't watch by myself because they're meant for kids.
Oh, I know what his problem is. He wants this dumb Western humor for adults, in quotation marks, intermingled in, and the Ghibli movies usually play things relatively straight. They have humorous situations at times, but they don't do this second layer of here is a joke that only the adults get, so they don't get bored.
Yeah.
No, Ghibli movies don't do that. They play things straight.
I would not combine.
I think Giga wants action. I think that's what he wants. He wants more action.
If he wants,
we don't have that much action.
If he wants more action, just watch shonen anime.
That's probably all he watches. He probably only watches mecha stuff and shonen's stuff with the two protagonists going for 20 minutes, powering up, going.
In fact, the ones that he listed are probably the ones with the most action because it was Nausicaa and it was Nausicaa.
Princess Mononoke, yeah.
Yeah, they're both the most action in the Ghibli movie.
Well, what he's saying
he
here,
wants explosions. He wants Michael Bay anime.
Well, in this case, he's trying to say that there should be stories or dialogue or characters that are for kids, but it's sophisticated enough for adults, which is when I usually refer to narration or dialogue that's that level. You're talking about J. Michael Straczynski doing The Real Ghostbusters, where there's dialogue in there and stories in there, which any kid can appreciate because it's funny and simple, and it's the four Ghostbusters. Everyone can relate to these guys. But there's like Egon will come up with these words that don't make any sense, but if you actually research them, they're actually very sexually termed phrases that.
Wait, Ghostbusters was made by Straczynski, the Babylon 5 guy?
Yeah. He also did He-Man.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, he was big.
That explains a lot.
Oh, he did Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future, I think. As well, he did He-Man. I don't know if he did She-Ra. But yeah, he did a bunch of stuff in the 80s and 90s until he finally got...
he also did a lot of stuff with sock puppets.
Really?
But I don't know if anyone gets that reference.
Yeah. So that sort of idea is that the thing is good for kids but also entertaining for adults does not necessarily mean it's bad for kids if there's no entertainment.
No. That's the thing. Is Porco Rosso enjoyable by adults? Because I think the backstory of the character, of the pig-faced pilot, that is a war story. That is the part that is for the adults. It's just not a comedy on that end. It's a tragic backstory with a cathartic resolution. That is great for the adults. The rest of the movie is rather slice of lifey.
Yeah, no, it's very straightforward. It's not hero journey or anything like that.
Yeah, and the for adults part does not need to be here's a little hidden joke for adults to figure out.
Yeah,
that is not all how you make things for adults. That rather speaks of your childish mind, of what you think an adult is.
I remember
because you're so far away from being adults, you can't even imagine what that even is.
I remember because there has the English voice cast of Cary Elwes, and I think Michael Keaton was the main guy for Porco Rosso. So it's like, oh, I remember that, watching it a long time ago. The 80s and the 90s came like those. The 80s and 90s were my favorite for animation and cartoons and shows for movies for kids. So when you see Cary Elwes, which is one of my favorite actors because I liked The Princess Bride when I was a kid, to hear him again, I was like, oh my God, it's Cary Elwes. So there's these things you remember, and I don't know how he got that job, but this is before I started appreciating the subtitles more in Japanese, or actually had subtitles in Japanese anime. All right.
Yeah.
it does not.
It does sometimes though.
Not Ghibli though.
Yeah, not Ghibli. And
What is it? The fucking one with the pig flying a plane.
Porco
Oh, Porco
I
Rosso.
watched that and I
Yeah.
fucking had to turn it off 20 minutes in. I'm like,
Really?
I'm so fucking bored.
I,
I'm so
I,
bored.
I enjoyed it, but I thought it was okay. Like, it's not amazing.
Like
but I thought it was okay.
that's basically my experience with a lot of Ghibli movies. Is that this is the most okay film experience I've had, and I like.
Yeah. These people's problem is that they do not like slice of life, and they probably have never watched a slice of life anime in their lives.
So it's a subgenre.
I'm actually pretty sure Gator clicks K-On, so they have watched.
I actually have a real problem with when
but K-On has cute girls.
You try to use boring as a qualifier for it, because as of my most used example, it is Paradox Games. They are map painters. Like a normal person would find clicking on the right-clicking on the map and conquering Italy as boring. I don't think it is boring, but it is really a bad qualifier to say something it is bad because I got bored.
I agree. Saying it's boring is a bad argument because all someone has to do to counter it is say, well, I wasn't bored.
Yeah, no, this is no longer becoming a sub or genre. I thought it was going to be a subgenre argument. It's now going to be like, this is my preference. I just don't like Porco Rosso. It's fine. I just don't like it. And you could list all the reasons why, and that's fair. But you have to actually make a point and say Porco Rosso is boring because it's slice of life. And then it's like, oh, is that why? So you don't like that genre? Okay. He's not telling us why. He's just bored. And that's not a fair assessment.
He's using boring as something to say it is bad.
Yeah. That's what it equates to, yeah.
Yeah, he has not been entertained in the sense of big things happened.
I don't
big,
know. Yeah.
Explosions, big action scenes, anything fast. Porco Rosso is a rather slow movie.
Yeah.
But
The whole
don't
thing.
get me wrong.
And I admit I have only watched it once, and I do not have any drive to watch it again, other than if anyone told me, let's make a really in-depth review of this movie. Because the movie is just, okay, I've seen it. So, it's okay. Because that's usually how slice of life movies are. You don't rewatch them 50 times.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. It's fine to get bored with some things, but don't use it as a qualifier to say to quality, because it really doesn't reflect well. It speaks more to your preference than to the quality of the product.
And Roronoa Soro in the chat tells me that I find all slice of life boring outside of a silent voice. So I guess Wisp would hate my takes on slice of life anime manga series. No, I don't think so. Because slice of life is like most other genres for a specific audience that enjoys that type of stuff. And I am not going out of my way to look for slice of life stuff. If somebody tells me this is a good thing, I don't care what genre it is. If it has a good slice of life thing, like I liked Haibane Renmei, for example, that's okay. That's great. And I've been told by other people that especially if you're those who smoke weed a lot, that is the best way to enjoy slice of life anime. Although I can't speak of that because I don't get anything out of that stuff.
I like the slice of life too, and it is fine to find boring. I don't think it is something to everyone. Like it's really something that a very select people will like. And I don't think it is people that like.
I would say it's a very Japanese subgenre, and a lot of the
or rather, in Japan it has survived. I would rather say.
Oh yeah, I mean we look at Killing Commendatore.
To be fair,
as I said, in Germany we have
telenovelas here in South America, including Brazil. It's kind of like slice of life. There's not a lot of action. There's a lot of melodrama, but it kind of goes in the way of. It is more like a story on the day-to-day rather than than an action thing.
This is a common element of Japanese slice of life. There's always some fantastical, very, very small, minor, almost fantasy-like a storybook element. In Killing Minatori by Murakami is known. He's like the most famous Japanese author currently. He is known for doing...
Yeah, but he's...
What?
Currently, he's been for decades.
Well, I don't know.
But he basically does write slice of life and then has this fantasy element, or the story is resolved through some psychedelic delusion at the end.
Yeah, and the same with Porco Rosso.
Climbing a ladder through a window in the sky and what? Where did this come from?
With a cat and a jazz band. Yeah, there's all this stupid shit in all of his stories, which is funny, but everyone loves it. And the same with Porco Rosso. There's that fantasy element of the curse of looking like a pig and pirates and gypsies.
Everything's normal.
It's typical Japanese slice of life. Yeah, so when you watch this show, if you don't know...
Everything's completely normal, except that one guy with a pig head.
Yeah, if you don't know like the food of a certain region, and you go to Japan for the first time, and you start eating fish, you're like, what the hell am I eating? Like, this is what they like. This is what they watch. This is what they listen to. This is commonplace. Some guys do it better. And if you don't understand that, that's fine. But you can't bash it,
as I said,
for doing what it's doing.
And as I said, in Germany, we had this genre called the Heimatfilm, and that is basically the same. So it's that Japan has kept this genre alive and has refined it to the point where all ages can still enjoy it, or do still enjoy it. And
red light in the chat.
If you can't get anything out of that, well, you're not gonna watch it. But to say it's bad or something, is that no?
Yeah, it's
it's just not your genre.
Red lighting in the chat said Joey. I think Joey is the Hispanic guy. Said he likes some slice of life. So maybe he just hit and miss for him.
I don't know. Then he wouldn't complain. Then he would say something about the boringness is not an argument.
Yeah, he's just
because that is. Yeah, but it's just group pressure.
Yeah, he's sitting with these two guys.
It's just
peer
pressure.
I hate Studio Ghibli. It's boring. It's like, okay, well, I like it, but
yeah,
whatever.
but that then on the top of that, it just shows that this is not a discussion. They're just agreeing with each other for friendship's sake, like some stupid schoolgirls who don't tell each other the truth.
It's like I'm at a bar and I'm having a drink with whomever, and they're just bitching about life, and you're like, yeah, that sucks, man. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's all I'm doing. Just sitting there nodding my head. Well, he's making no points. You're like,
that's all we all do in the bar.
People suck. Life is horrible. Yeah. Okay, I got you. It's like, okay. You're not resolving anything. You're just bitching. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. The reason I really can't get into a lot of Ghibli movies is that they just don't feel anime. I don't know, because they feel like Disney movies.
Oh God,
right?
no.
And I know, like, Miyazaki's gone on record, like, criticizing
Disney movies, and I've watched a couple in the last years that I've completely missed in my childhood because they only ran in the cinema here, and not even all of them ran here in Germany. And they weren't pushed that big on TV either. And I wasn't just wasn't seeking them out because they had a lot of very cringe musical things in there that I just never liked. With I think the exception of the Jungle Book, because that was done exceptionally well. And I've watched a couple lately. This horrible Hercules movie. Then God, what else? Atlantis, Treasure Planet, and a couple more. And they almost all of the Disney animated movies have extreme pacing problems with the story, how the story progresses. It's annoying. It's really annoying. Ghibli movies take their time, the appropriate amount of time for every part of the story.
I would like
the
to.
Disney movies tend to rush forward, rush through the intro, so that they can get to the meat quickly.
I would like to list.
That destroys a lot.
I would like to list some of these ones because I can't think of one which is like I'm trying to think is Porco Rosso like any Disney movie you've ever seen, or My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke. Maybe
I don't think so at all.
It comes close because there's a male and a female lead, and they're sort of fighting together to stop, another war. There's elements that you could say, yeah, it's kind of, but the plots, no way. Like Howl's Moving Castle, what do you compare that to?
Yeah.
Castle in the Sky, Laputa. I can't think of one. That's a bit, that's pretty Disney-ish, but not really. I can't really point to something.
Is it?
It's got a castle in the sky that's kind of magical, technological.
Yeah, but that's not in Disney. That's not anything Disney does.
No, I can't point. That's what I mean. I can't point to something specific.
And Laputa isn't even a castle. It's just a flying city.
I'm trying to think like Grave of the Fireflies, but that's nowhere Disney wouldn't even touch a theme.
No, Disney would never do something like Grave of the Fireflies. Yeah. Grave of the Fireflies is a slice of life, element 1, post-war tragedy. Disney would not even touch that with a 10-foot pole on a
I was thinking of
shot from an aircraft carrier.
I was thinking of Kiki's Delivery Service, but just in sort of the setting and the idea, but not the actual plot. Like the characters, like there's a witch.
The way I see it is, I could see a lot of Disney movie. I could see a lot of Ghibli movies being Disney movies, but they would handle them differently.
Oh yeah. It just doesn't. Mm-hmm. I just can't. I understand what he's trying to say because Disney is a big budget animation studio and they can do big things with classic animation. It's like, yeah, you're right. That's the Japanese equivalent. I get it, but the plots, the characters, not really. It's completely unique, completely Japanese. So I don't like this comparison. Anyway.
Animators who are like, man, they're just like inspired by other people working in anime rather than inspired by real life. And I'm like, this is why I got into the medium, dude.
Okay, whoa. You've just explained how art is made by someone being inspired by life, by knowing life, by having pains and pleasures and God knows what else in life, and then writing a story and saying, you know what would really work? This story in an animation. He just described a minute ago saying Studio Ghibli movies do not feel like anime. And then he's saying, well, I go into the medium because I'm inspired by other anime. It's like, no, that's not why Miyazaki went into the medium or made the medium. He's a storyteller. He wants to tell something from his life. He is a guy who's against war. It's in all of his films. He's always talking about war. So,
I brought this up. Berserk, all of the Band of the Hawk main characters are based off of the friend group he had in high school.
Oh, really?
Yep. The guy that was based off of Griffith actually made the memorial manga for him that came out recently.
Oh, cool. Well, okay, so this is what he's, funnily enough, describing the opposite thereof. Let me just rewind that. Because his argument is, I want anime to be like anime, and you get into the medium or the genre or whatever because you have a story to tell. It's like, you're not inspired by other anime? Are you sure? Which one is it? Try it again.
Animators who are like, man, they're just like inspired by other people working in anime rather than inspired by real life. And I'm like, this is why I got into the medium, dude. I like that.
It's the whole I hate otakus thing, right?
Why do you hate the
Actually, one of the things, when Berserk was going, at first, it was heavily inspired by it's North Star. And not Mia's. I'm trying to remember. Why am I forgetting the name of the author of Berserk? Mira. Mira was told, like, hey, our our magazine is getting canceled. You're gonna be taken off of Berserk. You're going to work with the author of Fist of the North Star to create a new series, or you can keep working on Berserk. He kept working on Berserk, and he realized he can't surpass Fist of the North Star by mimicking it. So that's when he started the Band of the Hawk stuff and started drawing from his real life, and he made something that transcended Fist of the North Star.
Yeah.
And Berserk was get really popular and starts inspiring a lot of people to other people.
And this is why
and it saved that magazine.
This is why we say, or I say to young authors, is like, live a life, do something in your life that affected you personally for whatever reason, and make sure it hurt you. Make sure there was some suffering there. Because if it didn't make you feel anything, if you didn't try to do something and you failed, no one's going to care, because there's no conflict, there's no resolution, there's no problem. It's just you went on a trip to Europe, you had an all-expense-paid trip, and then you came back. That's not a story. That's just stuff happened. Stuff happened to you. You had a good time. You ate well. You slept well. And then you traveled around and met some people. In that traveling, there might be some stories from the locals that might be inspiring. That would be worth telling. Not you being, going to a hostel or going to a 4-star hotel. Like, that's not worthy of a book. You have to actually go through some trials and tribulations, understand yourself, and then you actually come back a different person, having learned something. That's a story. That's what you want. So, yeah, to articulate that, to create that on a typewriter, and to convert that to film or animation is a whole other thing. And maybe you have the motivation and the sales pitch to tell a studio, hey, you know what, this story should be a 3D animated feature film or miniseries or whatever. And it has to be really good, nail-biting stuff for people to go, oh, yeah. As opposed to, you know what, I was watching Dragon Ball Z the other year, and I think I can do better. Like, that's not a really good inspiration, let alone storytelling that you're going to use to start or launch your anime career as a director-writer. So you got to live your life. And then once you've lived it and you've gone through problems, you put those problems in your stories. It's that simple. Well, life is not simple, but I'm just saying that's how it goes. That's why all these writers from like 100 years ago, they start writing when they're 40. They've gone through hell. They've gone through, oh, this is life. This is what I went through. And then they talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what argument he's making here, but it's certainly not. I like watching shonen, and animators get into anime because they watch shonen. I'm like, that's not a good reason to get into anime.
Honestly,
He basically still wants the same kind of anime he enjoyed when he was still playing on the schoolyard during recess.
Also, this assumes that nothing inspired the Miyazaki and the other animators in the Studio Ghibli.
Do you think any of these guys would enjoy watching Lawrence of Arabia?
No.
No.
If Lawrence of Arabia was an anime?
100% no.
I would love to see an anime of Lawrence of Arabia. That'd be kind of cool, actually. Because the pacing of the original
awesome.
Lawrence... It's not for... Honestly, Lawrence of Arabia is not for everyone. But if you turn it into an anime... Like, I was watching Poirot.
Yeah, but it was like, what, 3.5 hours?
Oh, yeah, it's long. It's slow. But, like, Poirot...
And that's an old movie. They're really long old movies.
Well, that's the cool thing about the medium and the genre. Like, you don't know you like something until it's in that format you already like. So, like, with Poirot, I saw the animated version of Poirot, Japanese anime of Poirot. It's like, cool. I read all the books. I watched all the miniseries. I've seen, all the movies. And just to see it in anime format, it's like, oh, that's, it's still Poirot. They just do it in a very quick and clever way because it's only 22 minutes long. You can't say a very long story in that short amount of time. And because of that, I could appreciate it in a different way. Of course, the stories were slightly changed. The murders were slightly different because they didn't have enough time. But now we have people watching murder mysteries in the classic golden age of British murder stories in Japan, which is cool. And now people know a little bit more about Agatha Christie. So that's cool. You can do stuff like that with anime that you can't do with many other formats because it's so popular, because there's so many. It does everything, every genre imaginable. It does. Sometimes it does its own. So that's what's cool about it. And you don't know you like it until you find out there's something out there. So these guys are arguing for their own cool thing. Like, oh, I love shonen. Why isn't it more like shonen? It's like, dude, it's not for you. That's just what the argument comes down to. That your tastes are just in this direction, and that's it. You're a bunch of high schoolers, and you never grew out of that. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's cool. Like whatever you like, but you can't bash, Astro Boy, or Grandizer, or whatever, because it's old and you don't understand it.
Yeah, I think any type of slow Hollywood movie as well, the great masterworks of the past.
Yeah.
Any movie of that would be boring to these guys.
Imagine watching Jinro, the Wolf Brigade. Like they would be like, I'm so bored. It's so slow, and the imagery of the.
Oh, they would find it acceptable because of the 2 or 3 hard action scenes.
Oh, with the gun, yeah. Oh, there's some guys dies with a chain gun. Oh, it's what? Come on.
Yeah, but other than that, it's a relatively slow movie.
Yeah, I love Jinro. It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah. Everyone should see it at least once.
Yeah, there's a lot of good animes we know that everyone should watch, and that's one of them.
Yeah, but this is one that falls into the depression brigade, and if you watch 3 or more of the super depression brigade movies because they make you too sad, you'll probably pick up the next LAN cable you have and make yourself a noose from it. So don't watch too many of these types of movies at once.
Yeah,
but watch them.
It's kind of like going. And
I'm still waiting for him to knock off his Coca-Cola with his elbow there.
Oh yeah.
But, yeah. What did you want to say?
It's kind of like going to an art gallery. Like once you go, and it's a really good art gallery, whatever the showcase is, and you see in your dreams or throughout the days, the next week at least, that gallery you went to, how inspired and how influential that artist was to you. Like you can't just go to another art gallery the day after. It just doesn't. Your brain's going to be like, I can't do it. You need to pace yourself. You need to enjoy. It's like drinking scotch. You don't just chug it. You have to savor the flavor, or else you're going to get sick.
Yeah, like it's like these. So maybe the metaphor that works better here is adults are wine connoisseurs, and these guys still drink grape juice.
Yes. Or it's like a wine. They think they're drinking wine because it's a wine cooler. It's hip.
But even as an adult, you can still enjoy grape juice.
Right.
But you also can learn the refinements of the better wines. Not the cheap crap that your wine on gets drunk on every night, but the good stuff.
Yeah, because we always say rosés are popular because they're all seasonal. It's at the beach, and everyone in France goes to the beach and has a 7% whatever bullshit rosé.
Wait. First mistake. Why you are going to France?
The women, the food. That's about it.
That's not a good motive.
It's a very good reason. What are you talking about? That's a fantastic reason. Why would you want to go to France?
Yeah, well, look, while there is still some France,
there you go.
Can enjoy what's there of it.
Exactly. Spread some genetics, have some wine. You'll be fine.
From what I know about France, as long as you stay out of Paris, you're fine.
Oh, yeah. Okay. The wine tours are amazing, but yeah, anyway. Let's keep going.
The thing that I like. I mean, as well, and
Anime
also
was a
just
mistake.
on top of that, knowing that he's an asshole makes it so much worse for me to like try and enjoy it. Because I think you can make great shit without being a huge cunt.
Absolutely.
I think maybe if you cure every single type of cancer, in your lifetime, go ahead, be an asshole. Like you probably did. You get that path.
You people have never been told by your parents when your work is shit. You have gotten participation trophies for getting home a C-.
Also, those
you
guys
need a late life ass whacking, and not a sexy type.
You know what? Watchmen ruined anime. That's the take that I'm going to say.
What? Watchmen ruined anime?
Yeah.
What? Okay.
I don't know.
It's a meme.
All right.
Yeah, but probably makes more sense.
All right. Okay. Yeah, these guys are, again, he's just attacking Miyazaki, the person, because he's an asshole. It's like, I don't care. Alan Moore's an asshole too. I
Yeah,
don't care.
telling your son that his work is shite when it is shite is not being an asshole. That's being a parent.
Yeah. I would.
Something these guys apparently didn't have.
I can respect Miyazaki more because it's his son. He doesn't give a shit. He just doesn't like his art because he's not evaluating it biased. Oh, my son made something. It must be good. It's like, no, my son made something. I taught him how to do something good, and he didn't. That's sad.
Yeah. And it's not that his son just did his own style, like his own school of the thing, his own variation. It's just that he did the thing he did it in a lesser way.
Also, his son went on to direct 2 other movies, and Miyazaki hasn't done this again. So
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly. He did. I think it came out a few years ago. I can't remember which one it was called.
From Up on Poppy Hill, and he also did something Witch.
The Witch. Yeah, something with the Witch. You're right. That's what it was called. I can't remember the name though. That was the latest one they did. That was years ago. It's because of COVID. I don't know what's happening now, but yeah, they release a film every like 5 years or something. So it takes some time to see Ghibli. But I think that's because of COVID in general.
Earwig and the Witch.
Earwig and the Witch. There you go. Thank you. I haven't seen it yet though, so can't say.
He also did a TV series called Ranja the Robber's Daughter.
Ooh, cool. There we go. He's still doing it. Even if his dad doesn't like it, he's still trying hard. That's good. Maybe.
Just to give you an idea, Tales of Earthsea, the one that he first did that Miyazaki criticized, was in 2006. From Up on Poppy Hill was in 2011. The TV series was in 2014. And Earwig and the Witch was in 2020.
Hopefully he got better since the time Miyazaki said,
exactly.
You know what, your movie's shit.
If your dad is Miyazaki, I would imagine he got better, yeah.
From the receptions that I can tell, he did get better.
Yeah. For sure, or else Ghibli wouldn't have kept him. They just wouldn't waste time. Okay, 4 minutes in. We're not even halfway done.
Yes,
it's that whole thing of like, you should separate the creator from the creation.
I disagree.
But
though.
sometimes it's really fucking hard not to do that.
It's really hard.
When a
Well,
person
Ghibli-
markets their work so heavily as their work, right?
Yeah.
It's a Hayao Miyazaki film. It's not a film. It's a Hayao Miyazaki film, right?
Yeah.
So then it's like, well,
No, that's with Ghibli movies that is very easy because it's just it's a Ghibli movie. For the longest time that I watched Ghibli movies since I was a kid, I didn't know who Hayao Miyazaki is.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter.
You only learn about that when you get to an adult and you have time on your hands to research stuff. And the internet was out.
Yeah.
And we had the access to people writing stories about how these things came about. And I remember the first article was on Simba the White Lion and the similarities to Lion King. And I was like, that's like, there's obviously some similarities, but then you learn, no, they're not, they didn't copy one another. They were just about the same topic. And that was it. Like that was all there was. Maybe you could argue that Lion King was inspired by it, but it wasn't the other way around. So
it's just a honorary mention would have been nice in the
Why I messed with that, like, however long video, like 4 hours, I think, where he debunks it.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, he
I
really shot
watched
it
it.
out of the
I
water.
didn't agree with that. So the thing is, you can make a 4-hour video about debunking something. That doesn't mean you agree with it. I don't agree with it.
Well, this is like
I remain on the position. No, they knew what they were doing, and they were ripping it off. But that's another topic. We can make a weep day about that if you want.
This is back in the day when we had GeoCities websites and people would just have fan pages on anything, and you just have this really good website on this guy talking about the history of Kimba and the White Lion.
Because there is a lot of so just for basic run over, there is a lot of coping by Americans and Disney lovers that their company cannot do anything bad. As such, you will have arguments that sound a lot like coping to people who don't give a shit about Disney, and maybe also don't give a shit about the Japanese stuff. And the thing is, in Europe, The Lion King wasn't very big, especially in Italy. Because in Italy especially, Kimba was big, really big. In Germany, Kimba was decently big. And then The Lion King comes along. Italy didn't watch The Lion King. The cinemas were empty because the Italian people boycotted The Lion King because they all thought this is a ripoff of Kimba the White Lion. Because they all grew up with Kimba and they saw the similarities. For them, Disney was just ripping it off. That is what it looks like in practice. So if we do this death of the author thing and look at these two things, to the average guy, it looks like plagiarism.
Well,
you can make all the arguments you want of how it's not that. To the recipient, the recipient's reaction to that also counts. And if an entire country says, dude, this is a ripoff, then there may be a point.
To be fair, they are Italians, so we don't count them.
This is true. Right?
Honestly, this just sounds like
Italy is just the biggest biggest example of this. The Lion King in the whole of Europe didn't make that wasn't that big because Kimba was already very known here. We had anime here before we knew the term anime. Because European countries, plus Canada, commissioned Japan to make cartoons for children, usually written or inspired by of the respective nations, children's stories written by authors that already existed, and have Japan animate them for us. And they would exist in Japan. And they would exist, and they would exist here with really good voice acting usually. And I've mentioned this with Crazy Philosopher before, and others, Mark as well. We've talked about this. All these things from Biene Maya, Heidi, which was a Ghibli anime, by the way, an anime series made by Studio Ghibli for Switzerland. And Alfred Jodokus Quack was an anime for the Netherlands. Then you had David, the Kabauter, I don't know what the English term is, for Canada, which was a Jewish gnome who would preside as a judge for the court cases between the animals that had quarrels with another. All of this stuff was around. And Kimba the White Lion also came to our countries. And I remember being a little kid at my grandmother's place in the 90s, because I'm old now, and was an advertisement in between the cartoons of a dubbing studio looking for children to apply for roles to speak for Kimba the White Lion. They were looking for children to play the role of Kimba and voice him.
That's cool.
This stuff was big. Kimba was big here. It's only later on, because Kimba faded out, that the newer generations, the late millennials of the 2000s, 2010s, they know the Lion King more than they know Kimba. And they will probably also defend Simba, the Lion King, over Kimba.
Yeah,
my generation is more likely to defend Kimba over Simba.
There's also the Timon and Pumbaa series that was straight to VHS, or what was it? It was a miniseries.
Yeah, straight to VHS.
And then I
use it to watch.
Yeah, then there was also the musical, which is very popular. I know it was on in Toronto for years and years.
And the second movie is bad.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. So there, Disney tries to keep doing sequels and other versions, and lightning sometimes does not strike twice unless you're talking about like Frozen or something, which is popular around the world, especially in China. I don't know why. So, but it's one of those shows that it just hits the right demographic of kids and girls and sing-alongs and dancing and paraphernalia. It's this constant money-making machine. So they're going to have a Frozen 3 eventually, I guess. But, I wouldn't be surprised if they do a miniseries. Anyway, we're not even halfway done.
They are doing a series.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He's kind of so it's kind of like,
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, sometimes it doesn't detract from like how good this specific work is. Just because you enjoy work doesn't necessarily mean you. I forgot the first thing of what I was saying. Just because you enjoy the work doesn't mean you can't. You have to like
person.
like
I agree with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But it's also like when you don't like the work, knowing the guy is kind of a bit of an
Yeah, of
asshole.
course, of
You're
course.
like, God, I fucking hate this.
Yeah, but most people don't know that.
Yeah,
right?
when I turned off Porco Rosso halfway through, I was like, you're not an adult yet. You haven't done it. You haven't done it.
I walked out of my room, had a cigarette.
I had to walk out the room, put my arm on the door frame. It's not ready yet. He wasn't
It's
ready.
weird though because like to me like my favorite Miyazaki film isn't even a Ghibli film. It's the fucking Lupin the Third movie that he did. Like way
That is a
before
Ghibli film,
the
you
Castle Cave
idiot.
Nostra. That shit's fucking dope. But like, I don't know.
it's a Ghibli film, you idiot.
It's great.
I wonder, was he...
This guy's so retarded. That is still a Ghibli film. It's just a Lupin Ghibli film. Just like the Heidi anime series is a Ghibli anime series that you've never heard of. What is wrong with these people?
always like that,
He's
or is that
just
something that happens when
normie
everyone
things.
tells you you've come down from God to bless us with animation? Like,
I'd say it's the latter. Like,
so-
yeah.
He's also like fucking
old.
150 years old or
Yeah.
however old he is.
I think
you
if
know?
I was
He's
that old,
retired like 8
I'd like to
times,
think
hasn't he?
I'd like to think when I get old, I'll
Look, if Ghibli would be making a Pokemon movie of all things, it would still be a Ghibli movie, because it would be made in the style and writing and directing technique that is that the studio's known for.
Yeah.
Because that's how they do things. If you gave a Pokemon movie to Madhouse, it would look much more like a Madhouse movie, or Gonzo, or any of these other things. Like what Pokemon made by Studio Trigger.
Ooh,
Oh fuck.
Jesus.
That might actually have some action.
That'd be wild, yeah. Well, these guys are just making ad hominems, so it doesn't really matter. I don't really care.
Yeah.
be the fun kind of old guy, the one who's like, yeah, I give a shit about what the young people are doing.
Yeah.
Instead of
No,
being
you
like, I
wouldn't.
hate life.
You
and I
say
want-
that now.
Yeah, you say that now
Yeah, I
as
hope.
like
That's why I said I hope.
like
I
a
hope.
20-year-old.
Yeah.
I
you know
hope.
what I mean?
I hope.
No. He doesn't give a shit what you shonen-obsessed idiots want.
Yeah, guys, when you get older,
Miyazaki is making children's movies for children before puberty.
yeah. So unless
Most of the time. Most of those are for before puberty.
unless you're actually a creator of children's content, as an old man or as you get older, you're going to not care about the younger generations simply because they believe in silly crap or you don't need it in your life. There's lots of crap in life you don't need, and that's usually related to the young and their fads and their cars and their jeans and their music and whatever. That's normal. You're going to get old and bitter. Everyone will. I've never met a person who's like, oh, life is peachy. Everything's great. I love all the new technology. Everything's so hip. No one's like that. No one.
There are people close to that, but they're usually also not very smart. They're not very smart and not very mentally developed.
Yeah, you're going to get old and bitter, and you should really
They
quick.
just lights, colors. Oh, I'm entertained.
Once you hit high school, if you don't start getting cynical really quick, something is wrong. Something has happened to you. You've been sheltered. Maybe school is really easy and you're just bored. I don't know. just life is going to get hard really quick, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I wonder. This is a question I have. If these guys ever had children,
Oh.
would they come around and feel, maybe understand that these slower Ghibli movies might be more well suited as daytime entertainment for their children and watching them with their children than the this overstimulating CalArts crap.
It depends, because when you think about, I remember my aunt, she used to be a babysitter, and she had all of the Disney films. Like, she had every VHS. And I would like to compare, like, you'd watch a VHS, I don't know, Snow White, and then you'd watch, like, next week, you'd have the same kid, and you'd watch Porco Rosso. Like, it would be weird. Like, the kid would be like, what is this? Like, what? And you'd have to sit down with the kids, like, oh, this is a guy who flies a biplane, and he's in love with a woman, but he's got this curse, and it's like, oh, that's different. Like, yeah, like the kid would have to, like, what is that? Like, they'd be asking questions. Like, one of those annoying kids who keeps asking questions about everything. But that's how you teach kids. You give them entertainment that they don't understand. Like, what is Superman doing? Why is he doing that? Like, that's getting their brain going. So, and then they'd like more sophisticated things and more challenging things as you take care of them, or as you babysit them, or you teach them if you're actually teaching them. So
yeah, and that is why media that is internally consistent and makes sense is always superior over this random crap that is made nowadays that costs $10 billion per episode.
Yeah, and you wouldn't show them like Princess Mononoke. That's too violent. Like, that would not be a good idea.
That's a teen movie.
Yeah. So there's a certain maturity to how you raise your kid and what you show them. And I think Studio Ghibli, like My Neighbor Totoro, is fantastic. That'd be great for kids.
Yeah, that works for all ages.
Yeah.
And in the chat, Super Ackman said, defending a movie by saying it's made for kids is not an argument.
Exactly.
That is not the argument I made. The argument I made is these guys are not the target demographic of Ghibli movies. These guys want action-packed stuff that especially boys like in their teenage years.
Yeah, something is
Ghibli
not...
movies are more slice of lifey. They're for young children to watch with their parents.
Yeah, something is not bad because it's a certain genre. For example, let's give the B movies, the 70s, the 80s period of really low budget B movies. I like movies which are so bad they're good. What was that? Was it Far Cry 2 or Far Cry 3? They did Blood Dragon. It was a DLC.
Far Cry 3.
Far Cry 3. Yeah. So that was the whole point of that DLC. They wanted to do something so bad, and from 80s vibes and all the sounds and the technology, all that, to feel like a bad sci-fi flick. And it was so entertaining. Everyone loved it. I think everyone thought that was the best Far Cry DLC out of all the Far Cries. It was so. If you watch the trailer,
actually deemed the best Far Cry.
Yeah, no. If you watch the trailer, there's this. The lines from the guy are so dumb, but there's this scene where he has this chain gun. He's just screaming, and he's like, "Ah!" They do it 4 times. It's so stupid. It reminded me of what's that? Weird Al UHF, where Weird Al Yankovic is pretending to be Rambo, and he's just screaming. He's like, "Ah!" He's like blowing people away. Like, it's so over the top goofy that it's fun. Like, that's the kind of stuff. Like, that's why I watched the Thor film, because it gave that 80s vibe. And there was actually some drama in there, aside from the dumb jokes. But there was at least some elements of drama. And they had a mini boss be the hero of the movie, which was cool. So that sort of stuff appeals to me, just as a kid from the 80s. But that doesn't mean it's a bad film because it was made to be bad. You see? So just because something was designed for a certain audience doesn't mean it's bad. You have to use the apples versus apples comparison to make that analysis proper. You can't just say, well, this is not Batman 1989. That's an 80s movie. No, it's totally different.
Mm-hmm. So. And there's some misconceptions in the chat, I believe. Rich, you're making, when you say, what's wrong with action-packed? I wasn't criticizing action-packed or said that action-packed was wrong. It's that these guys prefer action-packed media.
Yeah.
And Ghibli movies are not action-packed.
They are
that's a different subgenre, different target demographic.
Exactly.
That's all, and that's why they do not like it. But they make the mistake of thinking it's trash because it doesn't have that. I can watch movies or series of genres I do not much care about. I can watch horror movies. I don't like horror movies, but I can watch horror movies and still see how this horror movie rates to another horror movie. And whether this was made better than the other.
Yeah.
And that is regardless of how much it actually gives me shocks or fear or any of that crap. But I can rate it on all the other things. Is it well made? How are the props? How was the lighting? How was the acting? How is the script? How is the pacing? How is how are the scares set up? How is the tension set up?
Yeah.
Is it just boring jump scares, or is it actually tension? Those are already different, almost different genres at this point, because movies nowadays focus on between these two things.
Yeah.
That is an example. These guys fail to do that. They fail to understand what these other Ghibli movies are, because they only look for what entertains them.
Yeah.
The blinking lights that they want. They want the blinking lights and the funny sounds, and these movies don't have them, so they're boring, bad movies in their eyes.
Yeah, I feel like
I'm not criticizing. I am not criticizing. I'm not saying that something being action-packed is bad. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, they are.
You can make bad action-packed stuff, like our favorite Michael Bay, who just there's an explosion fest that doesn't make sense. That is bad action-packed, if you ask me.
Right. I feel like the analogy with the wine was the best, because they're consuming the very popular rosés of the season or the next season or the wine coolers, and they're going, oh, Carmenere, Pinot Noir. Oh, they take so long to drink. Why are they? It's like, dude, if you don't like it, that's your preference. We get it, but you can't bash it or compare it to. You can't compare a rosé to, a Baco Noir. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's retarded. People would laugh at you. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and Super Eggman, I don't know what you read there, saying just because something is not made for you, that means you can't criticize it or even say you don't like it. What? Nobody said that. I don't know where you heard that, but nobody made that argument here. We are saying these guys are not mentally grown enough to understand what they're watching, in order to be able to criticize it properly.
Also, I don't think they are doing a very good job in analyzing and criticizing Studio Ghibli, because I think you can do it. I think you can do a very good argument to say why it's overrated. And so,
right.
I don't think
there are
doing
things
that.
to criticize about Ghibli movies, but not the stuff they babble about here. This is just three guys sitting together, shitting on their mutual decided target.
Yeah, their biases
They are doing
towards
bar talk.
Yeah, their biases toward popular anime that everyone knows, and it's very popular. That the Shonen Jump and Evangelion. Oh, that's anime to them. But then you watch this slow moving Japanese animation, which is like a movie, and you're like, oh yeah, this is not what I was expecting. And you could argue this is like.
To be fair.
What?
To be fair, you can get bored with the Studio Ghibli movie. I just don't think it is a good qualifier to say it is a bad movie. That's not what we are saying.
I'm almost about to argue that it's like an acquired taste, like whiskey or something, because not everyone likes drinking whiskey for obvious reasons. But you can't then use your knowledge of beer and then say, well, because I know beer so much, I can talk about drinking whiskey, and I hate whiskey, and whiskey's. It's like, whoa. Dude, that is completely different experience. Just because you like alcohol and it happens to be only beer. So, anywho.
Yeah, and don't compare the cheap whiskey or cheap rum or cheap whatever that you only know because you always mix it with Coca-Cola.
Right.
With stuff that actually tastes like something.
That's a great example.
Adding something to that. Yeah, adding something to, because that's the Coca-Cola is the action that glosses over the bad writing.
Okay.
And the bad alcohol that tastes like shit that you need to add something to even get it down.
Okay.
That's that. Good stuff, it's like with tea. Good tea you do not add anything to.
I like the example.
Because you would ruin the taste.
I like the example of Studio Gainax doing Evangelion and then later doing FLCL. It's like, if you don't like Evangelion, you don't swear off Studio Gainax and say they're crap.
Yeah.
It's like, no, look at FLCL. It's basically Evangelion, just watered down, focused, streamlined,
condensed,
and made.
Coolly outright makes fun of Ava.
Yes, it's fantastic. Yes. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So
and it's just 6 episodes, and it is so highly condensed and distilled. It is Furikuri is just, it is one of these gems of history.
Yeah. And you can say that's the studio figuring out its mistakes or getting a new director. I don't know. But either way, you can't write off an entire studio just because you didn't like one. Like I didn't like Howl's Moving Castle. It's like, how about Nausicaa? How about all these other wonderful stories? They're not all bad. That's silly.
Yeah, you can, and they try to do that. Judge the work within the studio against one another. That's all right. But I think they just failed to see what Studio Ghibli is actually making.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going.
I doubt Hayao Miyazaki in his 20s was like, I'm gonna grow up to be that absolute cunt.
I will redact all my statements if I see him hit the whip. You know what I mean? If
these guys have never been through pain.
Hits the whip, I'll retract all my comments.
I doubt Miyazaki's just like browsing Twitter to be like, oh man, they think I'm an asshole. I better change my ways. You know what I mean?
They think I'm an asshole. Fuck the haters.
I don't care what he thinks, but if he wants to see it and think, whatever. But I mean, all I'm saying is that you don't have to be an asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
You can be.
Dude, this is what these guys are babbling about. They are really still teenagers mentally. They have not been through pain in life. And I don't think they've ever worked hard. They've never been through strife and struggle, poverty, being out there.
Well, they're just talking about Miyazaki as a person. I'm like, I don't care. Your opinion is irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, this is just shitting on someone for having been through life, which these three haven't yet. They're the kids you walk by and ignore because they're just the rowdy, loud bunch that thinks of themselves as strong and wise and the better people when they know absolutely nothing. We call you have a word for that in English. In German, we call them Halbstarke, like half strong. They think themselves strong, but they aren't yet. You probably have a word like that in English for them. It's not half-wit. What?
I said teenagers. I pretty much got the
I have no idea what you're saying because of the background.
He said teenagers. He said teenagers.
That's just that. No. No.
All right.
We call those guys who are strong and think of themselves really, really well is douchebags. That's the word.
Douchebags, pompous assholes,
Yeah, pompous is a good word here.
Okay.
I just said teenagers because that pretty much describes adolescence.
All right.
Yeah, they're all pompous. That's right.
Okay. Let's get going.
You can be humble.
Did you really have to tell your son his movie was shit
Yes.
in front of the cameras and go out of the... Did you really have
to have the cigarette?
This really feels like a drive home kind of thing. Like son, it wasn't that good, but don't worry, I wasn't going to embarrass you.
No. See, that's the problem with you Americans.
Wait a second.
If it was the other way around, yeah, because you people are more obsessed with saving face than the Japanese in some instances. If it was the other way around, that the father had made the subpar thing and the son was the genius, the son would not embarrass the father, but the father telling. And this is not just oh, you didn't score a goal at the big football match. Oh, here, oh, poor son. No. This is the son thinks of himself as doing this really, really amazing thing, finally stepping into the footprints of his father, and his father just has to humble him. And this is, yes, in this case, really through severe humiliation. Get him down from his high horse and tell him, are you fucking retarded?
I don't know if that's the case.
This is not even close to what you should have made.
I don't know if that's the case with his son. I don't know what the circumstances were for him. But I don't care that Miyazaki thinks this way. It doesn't bother me. Like, it doesn't...
Imagine being the son of Michelangelo.
To be fair, let's be fair. You can say that this is something that you can criticize of Japanese culture, that they are really honor bound. But other than that, I don't think I think the son is doing fine with his life. He's doing his movies. He's probably getting better at it.
Yeah.
The thing is, the thing is also that they forget many Westerners forget, maybe also in the chat, is that while that is a public humiliation, yes, the Japanese do not just linger on that forever. Their culture still allows for redemption and recovery. The Western culture, as it is right now, it seems to not do that. It seems to just, 20 years ago you failed at that one thing, so you are forever that bad. You never got better. Like, it's, even if you did, it's not acknowledged. It's just the bad thing remains. In Japanese culture, you can redeem your reputation. You can build your reputation back up, or rather, what happened there is that you are the son of this great artist. You had an inflated ego. You had an inflated reputation because of that connection. Miyazaki pushed a really big needle into that hot air balloon. It deflates, and then his son. Then that reputation is where it should be, grounded, and then his son can build it up properly. And that, what you are saying, is what he's doing. And in Japanese culture, you can redeem yourself, you can recover, you can rebuild.
All right.
I wish that was possible here too, but currently we have this cancel culture crap.
Oh, let's not get into that. Okay, let's keep going.
From outlets that were waiting for me. Yeah. It's your son, for fuck's sake. Are you kidding me?
That was the thing that broke you?
That was the thing where I'm like, oh, this is too much, man. That's you purposely went out of your way to be a cunt to your son. Yeah. Like, you could have waited till you got home and texted him and been like, son, it was I.
That's the thing that, like...
No, this is too dumb.
No, he didn't. He probably wouldn't have said anything if they didn't follow him and ask him.
Yeah.
It's also not talking about the movies anymore. You have 2 more minutes. Talk about the movies and why they are overrated. Not just that you're bored, but why?
Documentary that they did years ago, and it was such an interesting documentary, right? Because you get to learn about his life and like his thought process about everything.
Yeah.
But I don't recommend that like documentary to people, nor do I want to rewatch it, because in the entire documentary, Hayao Miyazaki is just an absolute dick to the interviewer.
Yeah, it's just kind of
just answer the fucking question like a normal person.
Yeah. Right. It's like when people are just.
Have you ever considered that he didn't want to do that? That he was annoyed by the whole process of now they wanted to make a documentary about me. Fuck off.
This is completely irrelevant.
I'll just say horrible things to these people.
I don't care that Miyazaki was a good or bad person. I really don't care. It does not have anything to do with my appreciation of what he did. And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, in regards to the movie's quality, this is just poisoning the well.
Isn't Miyazaki like twice out of retirement too?
Yeah, he'd be annoyed. I have to go back to work. Then I have to go back to retirement, go back to work. Who knows what pensions are like in Japan? I have no clue. So, yeah, I don't know the living conditions of the Japanese, especially a guy in entertainment industry who's doing animation, which is grueling work. So,
I mean, I doubt he came back from the money. He probably came back because what I understand about him, he's kind of a control freak.
Yeah, no. He's a hardcore dude, and they probably asked him because no one else could do his job because no one wants to do it, and no one could do it like him. So of course they'd ask the master to come back. So it makes sense to me, but let him be a curmudgeon. Let him be a bastard. I don't care.
If I had done this for so long and had so many workers under me, and they'd have to get me out of retirement because nobody bloody paid attention and listened to get it right themselves, yeah, I'd be pissed too. Maybe I was a bad teacher to pass on this knowledge and technique. Okay, could be. But of course it would piss me off if, like, just so many people. Someone must have gotten the point, and nobody did. That's shit. That's the shit. That's annoying.
Making things difficult for the sake of it, and then you have this whole, I'm the best.
Yeah.
I know everything. It's like, it's so frustrating.
You didn't say that.
To put up with that when it's like, did you have to be an asshole though? Why?
You're frustrating. You're assholes because you're not talking about the movie. You're just talking about Miyazaki. Talk about the movie.
Not arrogant. Also, it's not arrogance if he has the skill to back it up, and he does.
You know, the whole studio is not about Miyazaki, so I don't know what the big deal is. Other director writers there, so I don't know why they're focusing on him so much. It's like, can you talk about a film which was bad and why? It's just not Miyazaki, maybe. Like the past 10 years. I don't know if Miyazaki did anything in the past 10 years at Ghibli, but there's other directors there. You can talk about them. Talk about The Sun. Maybe The Sun actually does suck. Did you watch The Sun's anime? Can you talk about that? No?
No, that would destroy the arguments that maybe he should have been criticized harshly. Because not that it's just a little bit flawed, it's that the movie kind of falls apart, and oh God.
Yeah.
Asshole. Like, what did you gain from that? Did that make you feel big? Did you feel better? Like, just be nice.
But like Stanley Kubrick had the same thing, right? Apparently Stanley Kubrick.
Oh God. Just be nice. You Oedipal narcissistic little cunts who've been raised by helicopter parents. Just be nice to each other. Can't we all give each other participation trophies? And then we can all feel good as we watch mediocre crap with bright colors and big explosions.
The guy who's just bored about Porco Rosso, all he's ever done on this stream is bitch about Miyazaki. It's like, dude, we get it. You don't like the guy. Fine. Now they're bringing up Kubrick. I'm like, oh, fuck. This is like the number one guy every film major student has to talk about in all his films, and he was self-taught and all this other bullshit. It's like, yeah, he's a genius. We get it. He's a control freak.
Unlike all of the film students, because they have to go to university to learn making films. You know what would be genius? Skipping film school and just making a good movie.
Oh boy. Well, here's the. I hope this does not go into weird film criticism world, because I deal with these people every month on my channel when they criticize my my critique of Just Right, talking about objective whatever, because they're usually film students. So it's fine. I don't mind it. But they have all this knowledge about Kubrick. I'm like, I don't give a shit about Kubrick.
That's what I have to say.
All right.
Was an absolute dick.
Apparently, directors in general tend to be.
Yeah. Well, like when some of the most talented people and talented visionaries are probably some of the biggest dicks.
Yeah. I mean, what, especially with a director where it is literally like you have to be like put your foot down constantly.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a great YouTube video. It's like, are all directors dicks? It was on my recommended for like 1 million.
I love that title. Yeah. Are all directors dicks?
It's actually really interesting. Go and watch it. And it basically he interviews a ton of.
Great artists. Great artists are very critical of their own work. Not to the point where they sabotage themselves, block themselves, because that can also be when your inner critic is too big. But when your inner critic is too small, you just create crap and don't improve.
So
because you gloss over it. That is being too nice with yourself as well as with everyone else.
I would rather
when you work in a team like that, you're the director, like you're the what's that called in English? The big chef in the kitchen.
The head chef?
The head chef, yes. You have to be constantly on your toes and tell everyone exactly what to do to get everything right on time, on the right second, so that everything works together, so that all the dishes all the meals are perfect at the right time for everyone. Which is why a lot of head chefs retire at around 40, because otherwise they will just get a heart attack and die. And with directors and with Miyazaki heading Studio Ghibli, it's yes, of course, he constantly has to criticize everyone in order for the product, the art piece that comes out at the end to be as perfect as possible. So he also will criticize his son. It's the standard practice when you are in that. It's not as, oh yeah, you tried.
Yeah, imagine a guy who is balancing all these things in his mind and is directing a team of 100, maybe 80 to 100 people of doing a project, and they come out with a project every few years. It's not like a monthly thing. This is like every 4 years, 5 years, 6. Like it takes a while for them to make something. Like he has to really be on the ball. So I would imagine someone's personality might be a little high strung. Like he might be great created that way. So
and any good artist I've met has this really strong inner critic and is always aware, always wants to improve. That's a drive. That's an internal drive. Lots of the people we see out there now in American media don't have that drive. They just want to barf something onto the paper and be done with it, and then everybody has to enjoy it and like it. Nobody's allowed to say a negative thing because that hurts feelings or some nonsense. No, actual artists have this drive of self-improvement, and when they make something, and it can be a masterpiece to everyone else in the world and to history, but to the artist himself, he sees 100 mistakes he still made on this piece that are just driving him crazy.
Well, compare that to...
But he has to rein that in and say, okay, I'm done now, because if I keep trying to rid the mistakes out, I'm just gonna make it worse.
Well, compare that to George Lucas and what he did for the prequels, and at least from what we saw from the DVD sequel specials, where everything was done by committee, even though he was in charge. So everyone made stuff for him, and he would approve this sculpture or this sketch or this section of writing, and he would just mash it all together. Like he was not doing the work himself. He was just waiting on content to come to him, and he cobbled together a story. And it's the most backwards way of doing things. Maybe it's a good way of doing things. I don't know. But if that's what we got for the prequels, it's probably not the greatest visionary of how to make a story. And you have to imagine that was probably very similar to what he did in a smaller capacity with episode 4, because that was a hoop dream. That was like, who knows if this is going to work? I got to really push. And even that wasn't very good because he had to get editors, one of them was his wife at the time, to make the thing watchable. It was such a cobbled together mess. So, there are certain geniuses that can do certain jobs really well. And I think George is too much of a nice guy to him to have.
His problem was that he only had yes men around him.
Yeah, for sure. And whereas Miyazaki, he probably knew that. He's like, guys, what are you doing? Get to work. Stop agreeing with me.
Yeah.
Give me suggestions. Don't just say yes to everything. Yeah.
And Zero in the chat, thank you for bringing it up. Said Michelangelo took longer to finish the Sistine Chapel because he kept redoing everything out of a sense it wasn't good enough. It's exactly what I've been talking about. And Georgios Rex mentions that, so you realize directors have to be taskmasters and decisive, but you don't realize that applies to Miyazaki. So that works in relation to the guys we see on screen. And continues, and when the interviewer apparently asks dumb questions, I imagine Miyazaki would be irritated at the apparent waste of time. I could imagine that as well, yeah.
Another thing is, a lot of directors are kind of the in-between for the work and the people at the top making decisions. when he makes a decision or finds a decision that he thinks is good, he has to be the person who stands up for that decision. So that takes an abrasive personality to stand up for that kind of stuff.
Especially when you're the writer-director. Like, you are the visionary, and you're the guy who puts it all together. Like, that's a lot of control. So you have to know exactly what you're talking about. You can't leave it to a second-hand guy or some guy writing the script. Like, you are the script. You wrote it. And you got to cobble it together properly. And if you don't have those storyboards figured out, and people are going to get lost. I imagine Miyazaki figured out all the details first before he started working on anything. It wasn't just, all right, we're going to work on this scene, then we're going to work on that scene. No. We have it all planned out. It takes time. Anyway, 1 minute left. These guys have been very disappointing. I've been very
Please talk about the movie.
Yeah. Or a movie. Anything.
A movie. Yeah. All movies. Or bring us your point and not just that it's boring because you don't understand the genre.
Directors asking them, should you be a dick?
Are you a dick?
A lot of them would be like, yeah, I am, because I have to put my foot down constantly and tell them no. Especially if you're working with some actors who are
I get being a dick on the job.
Right.
But like when it's just like
this is what I mean. Like, you can be a dick on set to get what you need
all
done.
Right. Yeah. This guy does not shut up. I'm tired of this dude.
Come on. Sisyphus.
Hit me about that clip was that he did that in front of cameras.
You
know what I mean?
Oh, it's really just that.
It's all it is.
It's just yes. Okay, you're called trash taste. Yes, you have trash taste. Your brains are trash because all you keep talking about is the creator instead of what is actually the problem with the movies. Why you say they're overrated, and you only say they're overrated because you're bored by them, because you don't like slice of life. You have trash taste. You don't understand, or rather, better than that. You don't understand taste. You don't have taste. You don't have trash taste. You don't have any taste.
Right.
That's your problem.
Here's Spirited Away.
You just want the sugar high.
I don't know why this is a meme or what's going on here, but okay. Lots of food for the one guy who's handing out gold. The first Studio Ghibli film I watched was Princess Mononoke. I was 6 years old. Wow. Giant wolf.
This kind of reminds me of when we were reacting to that Yahtzee video, like he was just really cynical about the industry. These guys are also reviewers who kind of like review every new thing that comes out. And I'm wondering if that's why they're so cynical about it.
I don't know.
They watched popular mainstream garbage for so long.
Well,
and that's what they.
With Gig Yuck, he was just saying, "I don't like Disney, therefore I don't like Studio Ghibli," which is fine. But all that means
that is a non sequitur.
Yeah, but you could have a dumb opinion and just say that's just my preference, right? Because I just don't like something else, and this something else is like this thing. That's fine. It's dumb. It's not an argument. It's just that's your preference. I don't like seltzer water. Fine. But I love Coca-Cola. Who cares? It's not an argument. So he just said that off the bat. The other guy just bitched about Miyazaki because he's a dick. It's like, I don't care. Like, that's not an argument. It's his personality. Who cares what his personality is? Why is his work bad? Tell me. Oh, it's boring. Why is it boring? Go into it. Not hard. It's really easy to say.
There's tons of directors with, as they also mentioned, with horrible characters and really, really horrible, atrocious characters even. That were in part even driving their actors to suicide and such. That does not make their movies of any less quality.
Yeah, so you could argue in Ghibli films the pacing is too slow, the plots are too underdeveloped, or they take too long. It's like you could make that general statement without having to point to specific points, and that's great. But you still have to make an argument. You can't just say, I don't like it. It's boring. That's weak. Wisp, what are you doing here? What is this? Oh, it's Lupin the Third.
Yeah, it's a wonderful little scene from Cagliostro.
Okay.
I think it's from Cagliostro. Boop.
All right. This is not an anime. It's just Disney. Oh yeah. Oh, there it is. Look at all that stuff. There's Kimba. You got Astro Boy. Oh, geez, there's so much 70s, 80s in there. A Speed Racer, I think.
It's only Tezuka stuff.
Yeah, Asano Tezuka, yeah. There he is. Osamu. Cool stuff. The grandfather of all anime. There he is. More. Okay. Yeah, you obviously like this show.
That's a great fall. It's an amazing fall.
All right.
Floop.
Here's more Spirited Away, I think. Nope, that's Lupin the Third. Yeah, the cops. That's crazy. Yeah.
I love this tiny car that Lupin has.
Does this look like anime to you? Not sure what that is. German war drama about boys designed senselessly after living a life of indoctrination. Die Brücke?
Die Brücke.
Die Brücke.
The bridge.
The bridge. Oh. Okay. Thank you, sir. Building plain modes of war pains in Schule.
School. Pokelef has a bit of a typing problem.
I was like, what am I saying? Okay. And dying to defend a bridge that has no strategic value due to the officer that tried to save them getting shot and the boys blindly following orders attacking the Americans. Holy hell. That sounds like a war story for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those are sad stories. Okay. All right. Oh, laws don't apply to pigs. Yeah, okay. Ah, boy. It's not for everyone, but it's a good film if you could tolerate the pacing. I'd much rather be a pig than a fascist. Okay.
Yeah, that is a great joke. That's a great pun.
It's a good movie. You gotta.
And that's there's your joke for adults. That's your joke that only adults get.
Yeah.
But probably not these guys because they don't get the joke.
There's the is that the cover or the poster for that movie, Die Brücke?
With all the names on the side, probably the poster for the movie.
Yeah. Cool. Berserk was inspired by Conan the Barbarian. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he took from a lot of places. Like even in this excerpt here, he mentions Gin Saga. That was one of his inspirations. Those were part of the inspirations that he took after the whole "you're gonna get canceled" thing came up. Actually,
Interesting. So Dracula, the famous story from Sherlock Holmes, really, where Doyle got tricked by the Cottingley fairy hoax. I don't know that one. What is he talking about? I've read all the Sherlock Holmes canon. What the hell? Why can't I remember that? A fairy hoax.
oh yeah, Conan Doyle was actually did believe in fairies because of that. Really, because of that one photograph that was proven to be fake.
I'll have to check that out. All right.
Yeah.
Movie Phantom of the Paradise. Oh, really? That's where he got the Griffin helmet look from. Or was it the other way around?
That looks disturbing.
No, that's where he got it from.
Oh, okay. Alrighty.
It's like the other really obvious inspiration is that all of the God Hand members are really heavily inspired by the what are they called? The Cenobites from Hellraiser.
Oh, really? Hellraiser. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. Super Eggman in the chat. Don't bring us these troll arguments of, the Ghibli movies are trash, could be hyperbolic. If you title your video like that, your analysis, your critique of the movies, then bring some fucking good takes. Not this, we just titled it like that for the algorithm. No. This is one of the main points why we do this shit. People name their videos some crap, and then nothing about the title is in there. That's disingenuous or dumb.
If you make a claim, especially a claim that big, you have to substantiate it.
Yeah, if I'm going to say Alan Moore's stories suck because he's a dick, and then I don't explain that, I'm wasting your time. All right, last one. Oh, no. Oh, it's FLCL. Oh, fantastic. Good stuff. Yeah. Anytime it's FLCL, I'm like, yeah, good enough for
Oh,
me.
yeah, that scene was a Kaikuyo reference because he's even wearing the Lupin outfit and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about the one below, the Lupin reference in Furikuri. Is that second season?
Oh, yeah, the crossman is from the FLCL too.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was weird.
I was talking about the boxing glove.
Yeah.
No, that's an FLCL one.
Yeah.
That's when
I
is dressed up in the
I
same
was
exact
talking
outfit and
about
everything.
season of Lupin.
All right, guys.
Oh,
Anyway,
sorry.
that was a bit of a disappointment. I thought those guys, being the Uber YouTube anime guys, would have some insight into, well, anything that we're talking about. They were just, oh no, he's a dick, and he said this, and I got bored, and I don't like Disney. That was it. The guy in the middle was like, yeah, I like him, but I'll go along with my friends and just have some fun. So, yeah, not a good video. Pretty sad. But if you're going to argue for Studio Ghibli, talk about how you can't relate to the characters or the settings or the plots or the pacing, or you didn't like the music or you didn't like the animation, or there's all kinds of things you could argue. But to say they're bad because they're not for you is dumb. That's just stupid. So anyway,
Gig's strength really isn't in reviewing. It's in his comedy. He makes some pretty funny videos.
I guess, yeah, he's fun to watch.
He has an abridged series of ReZero. I think that's pretty funny.
Yeah. I don't dislike the guy, but his arguments, like this should have been a simple statement of fact. Like, I watched Porco Rosso, wasn't for me. Other people might like it, but I found it boring. Here's where I found it boring. This happens, that happens. It's so slow, and I don't like that kind of film. That's fair. That's fine. His other argument was it's for kids. It's like, that's fair. It's not an argument against it, but that's why you don't like it. So, anyway.
It's for a different type of kids because these guys enjoy things made for kids.
Well, young adults at least, yeah. All right. Well, keep the suggestions coming, guys. We love your ideas. That one was not the best, but I did like watching it just to see what these guys had to say. And now I know where they're coming from. So, anyway, keep on voting. Keep the suggestions coming. Thank you so much. Have yourself a great evening. Bye-bye.